Alright, this video is going to help you with your graphing form of rational functions. So for each one of these, they want you to transform each function into graphing form, sketch the graph, also provide the asymptotes, the x and y intercepts, and the domain and range for each. Now in the other video that I did over the notes, I got rid of some of the times that you had to do y-intercepts, so if I don't do them in this video, you don't need to do them either. So on number 1, it says -3, and then it says 3x squared plus 12x plus 12. What you need to do is we need to start by factoring if we can. On this one we can. So on the top I still have -3. On the bottom I can plot a GCF, and I end up with x squared plus 4x plus 4. This piece in here can still be factored. I know that there are factors of 4 that add to 4, and I know those factors are x plus 2 and x plus 2, because 2 times 2 is 4 and 2 plus 2 is the middle term. Now I can go rewrite this as y equals -3 over 3 x plus 2 squared. And the last thing I'll say is that these 3's are going to cancel, so my graphing form is -1 over x plus 2 squared. There's no plussing or no minusing. So this is the reciprocal square function, and because there's a plus 2 on the inside, I know that it's going to go left 2. You can draw that asymptote right here. It's not going to go up or down at all, so it's going to stay right here at the 0. It does have a reflection, so when it has a reflection, I have to remember that when I would normally go up, I'm going to go down. So here's my middle point. I always go mark it. For the x squared functions, I go right 1, up 1, but because it's a negative, I'm going to go right 1, down 1, and then I'm going to approach both sides of the asymptote. I'm going to go to the other side. I'm going to go left 1. I would normally go up, so I'm going to go down 1, so I'm going to go left 1, down 1, and again, I'm going to approach both sides. Okay, so there is my graph. They want me to do my horizontal and my vertical asymptotes. So up here, I've got x equals -2, and on the side, I have y equals 0. So my horizontal asymptote is y equals 0, and my vertical asymptote is x equals -2. This is one of the problems where I said you didn't have to find your x and y intercepts. My domain, I always go back and look at my vertical asymptotes. I'm going from -infinity to -2, and then I'm going from -2 to positive infinity. My range is everything below the horizontal asymptote, so it's going to go from -infinity to 0. Okay. Number 2, you have x minus 3 over x minus 2. There's nothing to factor. When this happens, what you're going to do is you're going to do some long division. So the number underneath is going to go outside of the house, and the number on top is going to go inside the house. So you're going to ask yourself, how many times will x go into x, and hopefully you'll say once. And then you're going to multiply 1 times x minus 2 and get x minus 2. And then we're going to subtract. X minus x is nothing. -3 minus a -2 is a -1. You need to remember that whatever your remainder is on bottom is what's going to go on top of the x minus 2. So we're going to have y equals -1, that's my remainder, over x minus 2. And this number up here is going to tell me what my shift is up and down. So my equation is -1 over x minus 2 plus 1. So this is going to be your reciprocal function. It's going to go right 2, up 1, and it's going to reflect. So I'm going to go back to my normal spot where I always start at 0, 0. I'm going to go right 2. That's my x equals 2. I'm going to go up 1. That's my y equals 1. Normally when I'm graphing the reciprocal function, I go to my middle point, and I go right 1, up 1. But because it's a reflection, I'm going to go right 1, down 1. So I'm going to go right 1, down 1. There's one side. And then I'm going to go back to my middle. I would normally go left 1, down 1, then middle left 1, up 1, because it's a reflection. Okay, so there's my picture. I've labeled my horizontal and vertical asymptotes, so they're really easy to answer. So y is going to be equal to 1, and x is going to be equal to 2. Again, I use these two to do my domain and my range. My domain, I go look at my x's, and they go from negative infinity to 2, and then from 2 to infinity. My range values, I go look at my horizontal. I'm using everything below the 2, below the 1, and everything above the 1. So from negative infinity to 1, and then from 1 to positive infinity. Okay, so what I would do now if I were you is I would pause the video. I'd try to go do number 3 on your own, and then come back and check your answer. Okay, so hopefully you've tried the problem by now. We're going to go do our division. So x plus 1 into x plus 4. X will go into x one time. And then we're going to go subtract. X take away x, 4 take away 1 is 3. Okay, now remember, whatever your remainder is going on top. So we have y equals 3 over x plus 1 plus 1. So that's the equation that we're looking for. 3 over x plus 1 plus 1. So I'm going to go left 1, up 1, and stretch by 3. I'm going to go left 1, up 1, and a stretch of 3. So for the stretch of 3, what I'm going to remember is I'm going to go to my center point again. Normally for a reciprocal, I go out 1, up 1. Because it's a 3, I'm going to go out 1, up 3. So I'm going to go to the right 1, and then go 1, 2, 3. That's going to be my first point, my little critical point. Now I'm going to go do the same thing over here. I would normally go left 1, down 1, but I'm going to go left 1, down 3. So left 1, then I go 1, 2, 3. And that's my second point that I'm going to use. Okay, and there's my picture. So if we label our picture, we have x equals negative 1, and we have y equals positive 1. So my horizontal asymptote is y equals 1. My vertical asymptote is x equals negative 1. I'm going to come back to the x and y intercepts in just a second. My domain is going to go from negative infinity to negative 1, and from negative 1 to infinity. My range, I'm going to go back and look at my horizontal asymptote again. It's going to go from negative infinity to positive 1, and from 1 to positive infinity. Okay, this particular problem did want me to do the x and y intercepts. So I'm going to do them algebraically. These take a little bit of time. So when you do your x-intercept, you're going to let the y equal 0 and solve. So my equation says y equals 3 over x plus 1 plus 1. I'm going to let the y equal 0. So 0 equals 3 over x plus 1 plus 1. So the first thing you're going to do is subtract 1 and get negative 1 equals 3 over x plus 1. Then you're going to multiply both sides by x plus 1. I'm going to get negative 1, x plus 1 on the left equals 3. Then we get negative x minus 1 equals 3. Negative x equals 4. X equals negative 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I could see that if I'd made this a little bit steeper, that would be true. So my x-intercept is negative 4, 0. Now we're going to go find the y-intercept. I think I already know what it is. I think it's right here, but I just need to double check. So when you're looking for your y-intercept, this section is off. When you're looking for your y-intercept, you're going to let your x equal 0. So it's going to be y equals 3 over 0 plus 1 plus 1. Okay, so 0 plus 1 is 1, 3 over 1 is 3, and 3 plus 1 is 4. So your y-intercept is 0, 4. Let's go see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, that's what I thought it was going to be. Okay, now let's go flip it over to the back. On the back, it's going to work the exact same way as the front. They are a little bit more difficult to do. I did number 4 in your notes already, and I think I also did 5 and 6, but I'm still going to go through them again just so you can see them. So on number 1, this is one that can be factored. So I'm going to have 1 minus x minus 2 squared over, this factors into x minus 2 times x minus 2, which is x minus 2 squared. Now I'm going to take this one fraction and rewrite it as 2. So I'm going to have 1 over x minus 2 squared minus x minus 2 squared over x minus 2 squared. Well, anything divided by itself is 1. So we get y equals 1 over x minus 2 squared minus 1. Okay, so what I'm going to have you do on your own this time is going to have you come over here and graph it. Once you graph it, you should be able to get your vertical and your horizontal asymptotes and do your domain and your range. So pause the video and go try it, and then come back to check your answers. All right, so this one went right 2 and down 1. So I've got x equals 2 and y equals negative 1. It is an x squared, so this is the one that looks like the volcano. So I go to my center point and I go right 1, up 1, and I approach both asymptotes. I go back to my center and I go left 1, up 1, and I approach both asymptotes. So there's my picture. My horizontal asymptote is y equals negative 1. My vertical asymptote is x equals 2. My domain is going everything from the left of 2 and everything to the right of 2. My range is everything above negative 1. It's going to go from negative 1 to positive infinity. Okay. On number 5, we're trying to get the y by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the x. This says x times all of this, so I divide by x, and I get y plus 1 equals 2 over x. And then I'm going to subtract 1, so y equals 2 over x minus 1. Okay, so there's your equation. This is the reciprocal function. It's not going left or right at all, but it is going down 1. So my vertical asymptote is going to stay at x equals 0. My horizontal asymptote is moving to negative 1. Okay, so it's a reciprocal function, and I always go to my middle point, and I go out 1, right 1, up 1, but there's a stretch of 2, so I'm going to go right 1, up 2. I'm going to draw that piece. And then I would normally go left 1, down 1, but there's a stretch of 2, so I'm going to go left 1, down 2, and that's going to be that point. Okay, so now I should be able to answer all the questions. So y equals negative 1, x equals 0. My domain is going to go from negative infinity to 0, and 0 to infinity. My range is going to go from negative infinity to negative 1, and from negative 1 to infinity. Okay, I did ask you to go find the x and y intercepts on this one, so this one takes a little bit longer. We have to go do our work. So to get the x-intercept, we're going to let y equal 0. So we're going to have 0 equals 2 over x minus 1. I'm going to add 1 to both sides. I'm going to get 1 equals 2 over x. I'm going to multiply both sides by x, and I get x equals 2. So let's go look. 1, 2. Yeah, I could see that. So it touched the x at 2, 0. Now we're going to do our y-intercept. To do the y-intercept, you're going to let x equal 0. So we're going to have y equals 2 over 0 minus 1. Ooh, what can I never divide by? I can never divide by 0. And what do you notice we never ever touch? We never touch the y. It does not exist. All right, last one from this worksheet. You're going to do it a lot like number 5, but the first thing we have to do is factor out a y. So we're going to have y equals x minus 1. Now to solve for y, I'm going to divide. So y equals 1 over x minus 1. So this is going to be a reciprocal function, and it's going to shift 1 to the right. So I'm going to go 1 to the right. This doesn't move at all. There's no reflection, and there's no stretch. So from my middle point, I'm going to go right 1, up 1. And from my middle point, I'm going to go left 1, down 1. Okay. So my horizontal is at 0. It never changed. My vertical is x equals 1. So my domain is going to go from negative infinity to 1. And from 1 to positive infinity. My range is going to go from negative infinity to 0. And from 0 to infinity. And again, they wanted me to find the x and y intercepts. So we're going to do that work one more time. So to find the x-intercept, we're going to let the y equal 0. So 0 equals 1 over x minus 1. I'm going to multiply both sides by x minus 1, and I get 0 equals 1. Well, let's go look at this. Do I ever touch the x-axis? Oh, I don't, so that makes sense. It does not exist. To find the y-intercept, I'm going to let the x equal 0. So y equals 1 over 0 minus 1. 0 minus 1 is negative 1, and 1 over negative 1 is negative 1. So let's see. Oh yeah, I do touch it at negative 1. So that makes complete sense. All right, I hope this video helped with your homework. Study, come ask me questions in tutoring if you need to.